you can grow your own pineapple.
Wow, really?
From the leafy top. So basically, just give me a second.
Time to get inspired and improve your yoga knowledge in English. You're listening to Your Yoga in English, a podcast for yogis and yoga teachers that speak English as their second or third language and want to practice or teach yoga worldwide. I'm Annie, the founder of Anka Unite, and here to guide you on the way to become the confident and knowledgeable English-speaking yogi you want to be.
So today we're going to speak about adding plants to your space, or adding plants to your living space specifically. Anka has done some research for us. She has experimented with adding plants to your space to create more space at home, but also to improve your health and well-being. So let's see what she came up with, what her experiences are. Yes! How are you?
Good, thank you so much.
So let's dive in. You did some research. I already introduced the theme. So we're going to speak about adding plants to your living space or your space in general. You did some research. I did a little bit of reading, and I think everyone grows up thinking that we have plants at home because they look nice and they smell nice. Maybe there's a little bit of benefit of like reducing stress or a therapeutic meaning. From your research, what came out to be a benefit of having plants at home?
So first of all, well, I grew up with my mom is obsessed with plants. She has different places of the house, and she pays attention what plants needs what and where to put it. But to be honest, I personally never really grew up knowing the actual benefits of the plants. And as you said, we all know that we should have plants. We just never really are told why.
Exactly.
And so personally, I still think that one of the best benefit of a plant is like the aesthetics and just the fact that you have a living being that you look after. It kind of creates a sense of connection, which especially now over the pandemic, when you're locked up alone in your house, in your room, it can really boost your mood, just literally having a little living something that depends on you. But undoubtedly, one of the greatest things to have plants is because they can purify your air. And a lot of research has gone into it, actually, that they also boost your mental health. They're very good for your mental health. They can help you fight anxiety, depression, especially. Really, so much more than just having something to water,
Exactly. That's what I found as well. It makes sense when you read or when you hear it, but it might not be something that you think of directly. Like it lowers, like you said, the chance of depression or even anxiety, dementia. I found out. Not sure if that's true. That's just something I read. I don't want to claim that to be true, just like that. Do you think having fake plants has the same effect?
Well, of course, fake plants can sort of give you the aesthetics. Like, it could be very pretty. It could also, well, research has also shown that you link green scenery, so seeing green stuff like green plants, it kind of, your brain links it to you being in nature. So technically, in a way, even fake plants can give you some benefits of all the good connections you make in your brain. It can elevate your mood. What fake plants cannot do is help you with your air. Let's jump back a little bit. So basically, we all live in cities mostly, or at least in buildings or confined spaces with usually little airflow. So even if you open the window like at least once or twice a day to let some fresh air in, there's very little airflow. And for indoor pollution, a lot of chemicals come from like synthetic building materials that your house was built with, or even just chemicals in your own rug. And these kind of things kind of make up 90% of indoor air pollution. And these plants, the real ones, not the fake ones, can actually absorb a lot of these toxins that are just floating around. So fake plants cannot help you with that.
No, exactly.
Definitely.
That makes sense as well. I would figure there's all these different benefits, maybe mentally and on a spiritual level, but not physically. I think even the oxygen. This is another question I was going to ask you later, but now that we're speaking about it anyway, I have read that some plants are really good because they provide oxygen. Some plants are really bad because they take the oxygen. Do you know about this?
So basically, as a general rule, you know, all plants or most plants give you oxygen, because you know how we breathe oxygen in and exhale carbon dioxide. Plants pretty much do it the opposite way. So you know, plants get their energy from sunlight, and we all know the word photosynthesis. Basically, that's just the process of how they convert sunlight into energy. And basically, they breathe in carbon dioxide and convert it into oxygen that they exhale. So that's why we know, you know, that it's good to have rainforests on the earth, because they are the lung of the planet. Just the same way, plants inside your home can also provide oxygen and refresh the air. However, when there's no sunlight, you know, during the night, the plants also have to breathe in the way we do, so they give out carbon dioxide instead of oxygen when there's light. So it was really interesting to read about this, because when I was doing my research, one of the biggest concern of people on the internet was whether plants can kill you in your sleep, you know, like, are they going to take away my oxygen, you know? It's so, it was shocking to see that it was one of the most popular questions everywhere, that, oh, can I die because my plant breathes all my oxygen? And you do not have to worry about anything like that. So basically, even when there's no sunlight and the plants cannot do their regular giving out oxygen, taking away carbon dioxide, they still only give out so little carbon dioxide that they don't technically compete with you. They are not trying to breathe your oxygen. Even if you have a couple plants, so like, you know, unless you go super crazy, you don't have to worry about actually competing with your plants. So they're not gonna fill the air with carbon dioxide and then you suffocate because you live in the jungle. No, that's not gonna happen.
I see. They're still willing to share.
Yes, and you know, they are tiny compared to, you know, they don't use far as much oxygen as you actually do.
I see. That makes sense as well. You mentioned plants can't kill you because of the oxygen thing. However, some plants are toxic or poisonous. They kill you.
I personally think that unless you're actually trying to die, you're not gonna. So I don't think that from your houseplants you're very likely to. However, they can cause irritation, mostly if you eat it, if you digest it. Basically, some of them are even irritable if you touch it. You might get itchy, you might get red. But most of the time I would worry about if a plant is toxic or not is because they can a lot of times be toxic to pets, to cats and dogs especially, but even to like smaller animals like rabbits. So before you buy a plant, you definitely need to make sure that it's pet friendly, or if it's not, make sure that they cannot reach it, because you know, you're not around all the time and accidents can happen and you wouldn't want to hurt your pet with some plants.
Yes, this reminds me, and I told you before, like my mother-in-law told me that these Christmas plants, and I think they are called poisonellas, poison something. The red
we all know the big red flowers.
Yeah, the big red flowers, they're everywhere. I think they're originally from Mexico, but she told me that they're very poisonous, and actually some people, if they get close or if they touch them, they start to vomit. not straight away, but it can be effective. Like bubbles straight away.
Just imagine.
But yes, they can be very dangerous. Some people are extra sensitive to these things. So, do you know of any plants that could have this effect on people that are poisonous or toxic? And we don't know about it because they have become so normal that it's not really a question you ask yourself when you buy them.
So, for example, one of the things that kind of shocked me is that the actual flower head of daffodils or tulips can actually make you quite unpleasant if you eat it, if you digest it. Obviously, I never thought of eating a tulip, but I didn't know that you shouldn't. So
this rings a bell. I feel like I've heard people speaking about it. I can't put my finger on it. And
daffodils as well. If you eat the actual flower, you will feel very unwell. Like you probably have nausea, vomit, diarrhea, or even worse. Like very, very unpleasant. Again, I cannot imagine why would anyone want to eat a head of a tulip. But if you feel experimental, please don't. For your own sake.
Yes, do your research. Make sure that it's okay. Maybe ask an expert. Though, if you drink a cocktail, and especially I've seen this in the UK, they get really creative and they use a lot of plants as well. How can you make sure that you are maybe not allergic to them and that they are really edible?
I would go out, expect that if a place uses certain garnishes like flowers to make it prettier, it's always going to have to be up to guidelines. So it's never going to be anything poisonous. So it's not going to kill you. The only thing you might have to worry about is if you're maybe a bit more sensitive or allergic to it, can maybe research it. If you go and get your allergens and hay fevers tested, I went as a kid a lot of times because every time spring hit, my eyes swelled up, it was red, all the typical hay fever allergy thing. And most places test you for some things that you're likely to come across. So, either you eat it or maybe on the climate you live in, it's a plant that grows. So they can kind of test you. Basically, they just scratch your skin slightly and then drop the extract of the plant in question. And then after some time, they just check how much your skin swells up. Basically, that just indicates if your immune system is having an unhealthy, like an overreaction, or not.
Yes.
And other than getting tested like that, I suppose you just learn as you go. Like if you come across something that makes you itch, just make sure you try to avoid it next time.
Then you did a lot of research, and I'm really excited for this part. You did some research about adding plants to your space or your living space in general. And you found out certain plants or flowers even for certain places in the house. So off you go. Tell us, what have you found out?
Okay, Doc. I was just trying to find a couple ideas for every area because, we're talking about adding plants in general to your living space. So I started with the bathroom because what I found once a long time ago, and I find it really interesting, is that if you hang up sprigs of eucalyptus or lavender, especially eucalyptus, in your shower, when you take a nice hot steamy shower, the steam can just enhance the effect and get the essential oils released, and then you're basically in a nice little eucalyptus or lavender steam, and that just helps you in different things. So eucalyptus is great for your lungs. It can clear your airways a lot. It can fight any sort of inflammation inside your body. And then lavender, obviously, is probably the most well-known plant for calming. Even if you're having a nice bath, next to your bath bomb or bubble bath, if you throw in a couple sprigs of lavender, it's going to help you calm down and even go into a deeper sleep. Also, there are a lot of plants that extreme humidity. I didn't want to bring you a lot of like lists of plants because you can easily find that. But there are loads of plants that like to actually live in a bathroom because they just love the steam that you create with all the showers and baths. And then if we move on to your bedroom, if you think about your bedroom, what you really like is either plants that are air purifying or plants that are calming. I'm going to give a couple examples of air purifier plants with the living room section. Think about calming plants. So again, lavender. And this time, not just sprigs of it, but you can actually have a little pot and just keep it maybe on the windowsill because it needs a lot of sun, but it doesn't need a lot of water, so it's good for the lazy ones. So I just wanted to say that the other plant that's great for calming is jasmine.
Nice.
The smell of jasmine is associated with very great calming qualities. Studies show that this scent is linked to reduced anxiety levels. So again, it really can help you with your mental health as well.
And it kind of makes sense, all the plants that you're listing and in the way you would use them, because it's all obviously very aligned or very closely related to the essential oils. They have the same effects. I know I haven't asked you this, and I'm not sure if you have researched this, but I think it's an interesting question. Do you think that essential oils could be a replacement for these plants? Because sometimes these plants are not available because they're not in season, or maybe they don't grow around where you live, or maybe they're very expensive because plants are not always very cheap. Do you think essential oils could be a good substitute or replacement?
I wouldn't really say like a full replacement because obviously there are aspects that they cannot cover. But definitely a very good substitute in this way because, look, I live in Scotland in a relatively small flat, so I don't really have the chance to have a lot of plants in my home as well. So I'm well aware of the difficulties of actually having and keeping a lot of plants when your circumstances just don't allow you to. But essential oils are really great because even if you have, let's say, diffusers and you use essential oils for that can also replace all these aerosols or the artificial air refresheners that you use. And then you have some plants that can use the air purifier. And then you also have like a very cost effective, so basically like a very cheap and very eco-friendly version of keeping your air inside fresh and, living and nurturing.
Absolutely. Now let's continue. We've got the bedroom, the bathroom.
So we've had bathroom, bedroom, and then let's go move on to the living room.
Yes.
So first of all, I think it's really important to keep in mind that plants are pretty. They're not just useful, they actually are pretty. So, why wouldn't you want to use it for decoration as well? For air filtering, again, if you search it, there's plenty of options coming out. But I did bring a couple examples. For example, there's snake plants and spider plants, which don't sound really nice, but they just kind of look like that. So, snake plants have like very long, thin leaves, and then spider plants have like very thin, long leaves, so they kind of look like the legs of a spider. And those two are really, really good for filtering air. NASA published quite a lot of articles on air filtering because they kind of want to figure out, what plants help you with air filtering in places where you don't really get good air. So it's really interesting to read NASA papers on the plants, actually. Another one that they said was very, very good with air filtering is peace lily. I'm sure we all know they have, like quite big, shiny, dark green, chunky leaves on the bottom. And then there's usually like one or two long strings and with a beautiful white lily in the middle.
My grandma used to have this always.
My mom had it too, and I didn't know that this plant is very great for increasing humidity, actually. So like, if your air is super dry, then this plant is amazing. And this is one of the best to filter out the most common toxins like carbon monoxide, benzene, formaldehyde, ammonia. So all those little toxins that are in the air and you wouldn't want to absorb it yourself. So it's been reported to be one of the best ones. There was a study in Norway that was so interesting to me. They actually showed that, having indoor plants increased the humidity of the air, and that's good because it can fight or help you reduce the chance of dry skin, dry throat, cough, and all those type of, these are more linked to winter, but the plants bringing humidity in your air can really help you with that as well.
Is this a specific plant you're speaking about or in general?
So that was just a general study made by the Agricultural University in Norway. So it was really more just like the indoor plants. As I said, lily, the peace lily, is great for increasing humidity.
And now that you're saying that this study came from Norway, that makes so much sense because their winters are a lot longer and more intense than maybe in other places. Really interesting. Now, can you ever have enough or maybe too many plants at home?
I personally think you can, but obviously there are reasonable limits. I would really want to live in a jungle at home. I wouldn't mind it. Well, there are recommendations of like how many plants you kind of need per how many square feet, depending, on your size of your home. Unless you go extreme, I don't think you can step over any kind of healthy border.
I think you kind of know yourself as well. You kind of want to have room to sit and to walk, right?
I guess, yeah. Yes.
Right.
To move on to the very last room in the house, right?
Go for
the
it.
kitchen, my favorite one, obviously. What do you link to the kitchen and plant? Herbs. So there are a couple herbs that are really easy to grow. Best thing about growing herbs is that you can either have them in little pots or you can just make like an herb wall if you don't have too much space and you just have to confine it. Even if you don't want to kind of keep the herbs in a pot, you can regrow most of the herbs from like a good stem cut. You place it in water and then you just keep it alive for a bit longer, and then you can genuinely use it for weeks instead of just, 1-2 meal and then it goes off. Linked to that, I just brought a couple of little ideas how to keep things fresh or maybe even reuse some of your vegetable stems and stalks to grow some more. Okay. So first of them, as I said, the herbs are always great. If you have some herbs, even just springs, if you buy them, just put them in a little bit of water in like a small glass. And then the other thing that can help with water, I actually started one, but it doesn't look great just yet. So basically you can regrow some of your vegetable stems from really just the stalk that you leave after you eat the most of it. So here I have a little celery. I don't know how much you can see it. I left it over the radiator, so it's a bit dark on the edges. Ignore that. But basically, you should leave just a tiny bit bigger than what I have. And if you just keep the very bottom of it, you just place it in water and replace your water every day so it has fresh water. But in the middle, as you can see just there, it starts to grow again. And it does take a long time, but if you have a couple stems, why not put aside a few to let it grow? And you can regrow things in this way, like lettuce, celery, from the leafy tops, not the bottom, but the leafy tops of carrots or beetroot and beets or parsnips.
Everything. I've seen tomatoes.
Yeah, so from seeds, you can also regrow things from seeds, like strawberries as well.
What would be the easiest, and also, two questions. What would be the easiest to grow at home? And the second question, what would be the fastest to grow at home?
One of the best ones that show progress quite well, what I found was spring onions. If you leave, let's say, maybe that much, and you can do it with a whole bunch, and then just place it in a glass like that with a bit of fresh water, and it grows quite fast actually and quite reliably. So you can't really, do it wrong. It's gonna grow. It's gonna be maybe like a week or two. Nature is not as fast as we sometimes would like things to happen, but really amazing things can happen. Yes, and like I've brought 2 bonus ones that are just fun. They take a very long time and they can go wrong very easily. They're quite fragile, but you can regrow your avocados. And I'm sure everyone's seen how, you've got toothpicks through the avocado stone and then you just make it sit on top of water and then bam, you've got avocado. Well, I've tried it. Didn't always work for me that way. I know other people who made it work, but I found some golden rules. If you watch out for this, you're very likely that it's going to grow for you. So first of all, when you take out the seed, try not to kind of touch it with the knife. So try not to hurt it in any way. So really you're not trying to cut open, not even the top layer of it. And then you carefully wash off all the things from the stone. You don't want any avocado to stay on it. And then basically you put it between damp paper towels. Make sure it's not soaking wet, just damp. And then that you put into a plastic bag. Keep it open. You just need the plastic bag so it kind of keeps the moisture of it so it doesn't go dry. The paper towel doesn't go dry. And then basically you have to keep it in like a dark place. It prefers to sprout in a dark place. And you just check on it maybe like every 3-4 days. It does take a long time. And then, there's going to be a little root coming out. And when that's long enough, maybe like 3-4 centimeters, you can plant it. And then it's going to grow out. It's amazing.
I have tried as well, but I now understand where I went wrong because I always put it in sunlight.
Yes, I did the same.
Oh, goodness. Really interesting. Okay, I will try that as well. And you said it takes a long time, but a long time as in a month or a long time as in a year?
So like it takes maybe like a week or two to sprout. If it takes longer for your avocado to sprout, then your avocado is probably not happy and it will never sprout. So just start again. And then, well, the plant itself, you will probably see a plant within like a month. To be honest, it's very unlikely that you'll ever get an avocado from your own tree.
Okay.
It might happen, but even in the industry, I read that they use very different methods, making sure that, the fruit is nice, big, and basically it's really difficult to get a fruit yielding tree from the avocado.
The other one.
You can grow your own pineapple.
Wow, really?
From the leafy top. So basically, just give me a second. Basically, you're going to need a nice ripe pineapple, not a nice British one, but like a nice ripe pineapple. And when it's so ripe that you can just grab this bit and literally just pull it off like a little plug, like, it kind of like pops off nicely. And then you have to remove most of the bottom leaves. And you'll have that little stem that you're going to have to sit into the water again. So there's like tiny little roots coming off of it. And when you have a couple centimeters of roots, then you can just plant it, literally grow in a plant, like a plant pot.
That's amazing. Do you have to keep it outside or can you do that inside as well?
Oh, you can definitely start inside. But as for most plants, I'm pretty sure that direct sunlight would help later on, especially if you actually ever want to have a pineapple.
Would you be able to also grow this in the UK or in northern countries?
Yes. I'm going to say yes because I remember that my favorite office at my university is a professor who has a pineapple plant in the window. And I've been going there for almost 5 years. And I literally saw the plant growing and becoming a more healthy plant. So yes, you can grow a pineapple even in the UK.
So many experiments. I'm so excited.
I'm actually really excited too. Like, I think I'm going to experiment a little bit. What can I actually regrow now?
Yes. Me too, me too. And you told me about storing things in your fridge and storing things in thighs. What's it?
Yeah, so we all know when you go do your grocery shopping, get a whole bunch of healthy stuff because you promised yourself, but then you eat up the things you like first, and then you're left with some soggy vegetable. Well, to avoid that, there are different ways to basically prolong the shelf life of your things. So, for example, in the fridge, if your carrots are a bit soggy or a bit rubbery, you can keep them immersed in water. That's basically the best way to keep them nice and crisp and fresh. Or what I also really like, the leafy greens. If your lettuce or even spinach, kale is a bit sad, a bit soggy, you just immerse it in water, even just before you use it, just for 10 minutes or half an hour. It's going to reabsorb some water and it's going to be crispy and fresh again. Nice. So a lot of times with lettuce, I do that because I just don't like it when it's just, almost gooey, rubbery. No. And then the other thing is in your pantry, not in your fridge. So a really great idea is if you have any old tights or even tight socks, but you can put your onions in the tights and it helps them from going moldy and hairy. And I'm sure we've all seen a loose rogue onion that got stuck behind something and you didn't notice, and you know how they go bad. And this can just keep it fresh for longer if you put it in tights instead of its outer shells.
Yes, I find this fascinating. This is one thing I'm definitely going to try. It's really, really interesting. I'm going to see the results. So let's do a little recap then, because we have spoken about quite a few things. We started speaking about adding plants to your space and basically adding plants as decoration as a use to lower the symptoms of anxiety or depression, or just prevent yourself. Keeping your calm, basically. And you mentioned in our bedroom, a good thing to use is lavender and
jasmine.
Or
any of the air purifier plants, like a snake plant or even a peace lily or a bamboo palm, all these, or even ferns.
And the bathroom, you said?
Eucalyptus and then lavender.
As well. And in the living room,
anything that looks pretty or anything that cleans the air. So snake plant, spider plant, again, peace lily, ferns, all those.
And then in the kitchen, many things.
Loads. So herbs, grow your own herbs. It's amazing. Just the feeling of using your own herbs in a food or just for garnish. I just always feel so much better than dry or store-bought. It's just a nice little rewarding feeling.
We're going to speak about this even more in the following weeks, because Anka, you'll be back with us in 2 weeks from now, and we're going to speak about
juicing.
I'm really excited about this too, because you did a little experiment. Are you still juicing today?
No, we're back to solid food after 5 or 6 days. On the 6th day, I had a smoothie. We broke our fast. So yes, it was super interesting, and I'm really, really excited to come and tell you a lot about it, because I started researching it, and there's a lot of questions, a lot of controversy. So I'm really excited and very prepared.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm really excited as well. I really want to know everything about it. I used to detox a lot, which is not exactly the same, but I feel like there is some correspondence. I really want to know everything about your experience. And by the end of the month, which is actually the 1st of April, but still belongs to the theme of this month, we're going to speak about adding plants to your diet again. Today was plants to your living space and also in the kitchen, but at the end of the month will be your diet. Also very exciting.
Yes. And I just like to say that if anyone's got any questions, just message us, either of us. Even if we don't know something, we'll try and do some research and get back to you.
If you have any questions, just reach out. We're happy to help you.
Thank you so much for having me again, Annie.
Thank you, Anka. Really, it's amazing. I really like all the things that you shared with us and taking the time to do your research. Amazing. Thank you so much. See you later.
You listen to Your Yoga in English, brought to you by Anka Unite, a unique online learning platform for non-native English-speaking yogis and yoga teachers. If you feel inspired and liked what you learned today, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow us at Anka Unite and become a member of our online community, Your Yoga in English, on Facebook. Practice, rest, repeat, and all will come.